complain about how tired I am, and I'm just sick of doing media already. But I love Tommy Dreamer. Here I am. Let's go.
Welcome back to the business. You're up early. You're talking. You're putting yourself over. You're putting AEW. That's what we do.
Why didn't you warn me?
It's funny because what's it like being back involved, like having to do media and everything else again?
I don't mind doing media. I'm just being sarcastic, curmudgeon. It's fun, honestly. Tommy's a guy I trust. So, if he called me and was like, I'm in Poughkeepsie and I have a flat tire and it's pouring rain, can you come help me? I would come help Tommy. So, but it can be a little bit stressful. I will give myself anxiety and worry about certain things I say, knowing that there's, people with Twitter who consider themselves journalists who will clickbait and out of context quotes and stuff like that. But can't make an omelet without cracking a few eggs. So fuck them. Can I say that?
Yes, you can say
it's
that.
satellite radio. Yeah.
Great. Fantastic.
It's funny you say that. Like, this was, I don't want to say, like, I talked to you a lot. So I've never interviewed you formally just because we're friends. Mm-hmm. But our threads, when you were totally out of the business, of the most random crap that I will send to you or you'll reply back to me of just professional wrestling stuff. And
well, this is why I made a very important distinction in my first promo, is that, like, here's when I left pro wrestling and now I'm back. And there is a distinction. The other place will tell you and they'll beat you over the head with, we're not pro wrestling. So why do you want to go to bat for that company and say that it is? So some people just pick their weird hills to die on. And I don't hate wrestling. I don't think I've ever hated wrestling. There's a lot of funny rumors about me. There will continue to be a lot of great rumors about me. I figure if everybody likes you, you're probably doing something wrong, because somewhere along the way, you're going to piss somebody off.
Well, from your reaction that you received and how much literally one person changed the business, you've been doing pretty good. So it's awesome, man. And my favorite thing about it, when I see you, you see me, what do? We smile. And for the longest time, I haven't seen that smile and happiness. And the moment you walked out and I was just like, how you said, like, why did you warn me? It was just like, whew, he's back, baby. That's the guy I know. That's the guy I've been friends with. That's the guy I love.
That's great. I'm glad you could see that on television, because it, sometimes stuff doesn't resonate through the TV screen. You always want it to. That was a moment I'm glad did. I'm glad you could see that.
Absolutely.
7 years is a long time. What's the biggest changes you've seen in the industry in the 7 years that you've been gone?
I think the biggest ones are probably because of the pandemic. There's no more house shows. The travel is a lot less. It's a lot light. You know what I mean? So, like, even if I'm going to be on every single AEW show, and if they're taping Rampage, I'll be at TV, once a week, do a live Dynamite, tape a Rampage. That's a far cry from, get on a plane Friday morning, get to a destination, rent a car, drive to a building, wrestle, get in a car, drive to a hotel in the next town, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Oh, we need you at TV Tuesday, do Tuesday, maybe fly home if you're lucky on Wednesday. And then, you have Thursday to sleep and rest, or try to have a family, connect with friends. That to me, from an outsider's perspective, is the biggest difference. There's a lot of differences between AEW and where I used to work, but just for an overall analysis of the business, that's the biggest one. That predominantly these companies are making money based on their television deals.
I also think it has a lot to do with Tony. As you know, Tony loves wrestling, and he wants to be like he's delivered on his promise. The beauty about, and I say, you have replaced the Road Warrior pop. It's the loudest, most organic pop I've ever seen, because it was, the fans kept speculating about it. And I'm telling you, man, I've been in the business forever. And I was like, no, MJF's going to walk out. Somebody else is going to walk out and heal us. And it was like they opened the show. They're chanting your name. Your music hits, and even when your music hit, dude, I was like, "There's no way. There's no way." And then when you walked out, I was like, "Oh my God!" And like Tony has delivered on every single one of his promises, and he's just such a fan. And like he works. I've been with him for an entire day, and I'm like, this dude is a vampire. He doesn't sleep. He's crazy, and he just keeps on like. And all we're doing is talking about wrestling, and that's a great thing to have as a boss.
Yeah, I see a lot of criticism, and I'm like, if the number one criticism is, oh, this guy's a fan, he's a mark. Well, shit, aren't we all? You know what I mean? Like, I would rather have a guy who's a fan of it sitting, with a headset on, directing a show, than somebody who doesn't like, there's good and there's bad, and the good far outweighs the bad.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite moments from that night, not just the promo and your entrance, which was phenomenal, but you did the media scrum with Tony Khan afterwards, and I was a part of that. And I remember Bill Apter had a question for you, and I just saw your face kind of light up when you heard that Bill Apter had a question for you. And unfortunately, Bill Apter couldn't work his phone, but he did.
Shocking.
But he did have a question for you, like, did kind of your fandom in the history, Harley Race recently passing away, like, me and Tommy are always constantly talking about pro wrestling, and we're always watching obscure matches and obscure territory shows. Did that love come out before making your decision to come back with AEW?
Yeah. It came out when I came out, like legit, because I almost didn't know what to expect. They could have thrown rotten cabbages at me, and I probably would have been like, yeah, okay, all right. But to hear that ovation and to feel that love, and yeah, I guess we're cheating a little bit. It's my hometown, but I don't know many people who are that liked in their hometown. So, I think the love was creeping out, and it was coming back based on stuff I was watching and stuff I was seeing. And there's like this groundswell of buzz. Right. And then I came out and I was just like, yes. Okay. It was such a great moment, mostly because I was like, I made the right decision. And this 100% right here, this reaction alone proves it. You weren't going to get that for me or anybody else in any other situation in any other company. So perfect storm where everything comes together. And, there's been maybe 3 times in my life where I was like, I'm right where I need to be right in the moment. And that was one of them.
Besides Darby Allin, who are you really looking forward to? Because there's so many dream matches, but so many people in that locker room that it's like, wow. Because there was always supposed to be, it was funny, Hulk Hogan, then who was Lex Luger was the next supposed to be Hulk Hogan. There was a lot of going to be the next CM Punks. Who do you think is going to be, I don't know, who do you want to work with?
Lame answer. It's everybody. I've never worked with the Young Bucks. I've never worked with Kenny Omega. I worked with Cody, in 2009. And those are the guys that I never mention when I'm doing media, because I always feel the need to put the spotlight on other young guys, Darby Allin, Pillman Jr., Hobbs, Ricky Starks. There's people that have potential. And if you know anything about wrestling and you watch the program, you see those guys and you go, that guy right there, that guy's got something. And I love how they're rough around the edges. And that's so great. It reminds me of watching an old wrestling television show, studio wrestling, and seeing guys, and not everything's super polished. Not everything's an LED screen. These guys have different gear, different looks, personalities that are all different. And you can tell that they all come from different spots. They've trained in different ways and they have different styles. And that's what 100% attracted me to the AEW locker room. Why wouldn't I want to wrestle these guys? Why wouldn't I want to go there? You could talk about big money matches. there's way more in AEW than there is anywhere else for me.
You talk about who you could possibly get in the ring with and some new people that you never got the chance to work with. What was it like seeing some old friends, in particular our very own Mark Henry? What was it like seeing him backstage that Rampage?
I love seeing him. I don't know how I missed him. You know, like I remember walking into a room and saying hello to like literally like a whole bunch of people. Oh, hey, nice to meet you. Good to see you. I saw Dean Malenko, gave him a big hug. And then like I turned around to like settle in and I'm staring at Mark Henry, who's sitting in front of me the entire time. I was like, how did I miss you? You know, I can get my arms all the way around him. Like he's fit. He's in shape. Like just super exciting. You know, I don't know if I was happier to see a bunch of old friends or if I was happier to meet a bunch of new ones, you know, because literally like Tommy, I told you this via text, like I'm Terry Funk now. I'm Terry Funk walking into the ECW locker room where there's like all these young upcoming future superstars and, you know, and they're like, hey, I remember watching you when I was 10. And I'm like, oh, God damn it. Don't make me feel so old. You know, like, it's kind of a neat feel. It's neat to be me right now. That's all I could say.
First, I think you missed Mark Henry because every time you looked his way, he was ducking down and eating your ice cream because I've heard nothing but great reviews. He's still talking about it. He's talking it to me and I want to punch him because I haven't eaten it yet. I got to tell you this. And Mark always says we give people their flowers while they're alive. And, you know, I've known you since a long, long time. I don't know if you know what you have and this appeal that you have, but I'm going to tell you it because when I first saw it, you are what Dusty Rhodes had. You are what Ricky Morton had. You are, when you were somewhere else, you were the guy who wasn't supposed to make it and did. You were the voice of the people. You did things differently. You also gave hope to the independent wrestler that paid their dues, that worked the crappy arenas, that, you know, worked from Ring of Honor to get where you are. And you weren't supposed to make it, but you did. And you gave hope to so many people. And I'm so happy you're back, not just because you're my friend, but just because as a wrestler and fans, we need closure. And the fact that we almost never got to see you wrestle again would have been a sin. But the fact that Tony Khan and you gave us that, I'm forever grateful, and I'm your friend. But I know the fans feel the same way because you have this amazing connection with people that very few ever have. And that will stay with you till the day you die. And everything, even when you did UFC, when you tried something and you had a smile on your face, and that you have this ability to connect with people because it's real to you and it's real to them. And as a fan and as your friend, man, I just wanted to praise you. I'd probably be the only time I ever put you over. But I love you, but I also love the fact that you decided to come back because it's best for everything.
Well,
don't you cry.
I think I started to well up a little bit. It's hard not to. It really is because, you know, I feel like you have to balance all of that with being grounded and being humble. And it's just like,
and you are.
It's nice. It's nice to hear it, you know, from you. It's nice to hear it from other people because I can scream it from the rooftops. You know, I did this. First guy through the wall gets bloodied. Pioneers have arrows in their back, yada, yada, yada. But I mean, you were there for a lot of it. And, you know, what this is all captured for me is the entire reason that I used to get in a car and drive to Southern Indiana and work for barely gas money for Ian Rotten in a barn in Southern Indiana in front of 6 people, being told I'll never work anywhere else because Jim Cornette runs OVW and he hates Ian and now you'll never make it to WWE. And I was like, well, they're not the ones offering me a job. And like, this guy is. So, and I get to work Tracy Smothers. Why wouldn't I do it? You know, you were there when I was in OVW and they were sending memos that CM Punk is never to be brought to television because he's the king of the indies. And my thing was always like, well, I wish I could have a conversation with the people sending those memos because where the fuck was I supposed to work? The indies. That's what's there, is because your father swallowed up like all the viable territories. And like the only thing I ever tried to do was tell a good story in the ring and learn from people that came before me, you know. And I always thought it was funny that like Dusty Rhodes loved me, Harley Race loved me, Terry Funk loved me, Tracy Smothers loved me. I had all these guys that gave me their stamp of approval. And then, you know, I get to the big show and I'm told that I'm nothing and I'll never make it. And I was just like, man, that's weird, because these guys like me, and that's almost all I care about. You know what I mean? But then the chip on my shoulder came out and I was like, I'll prove y'all wrong. And I did. And like I said, I can, you know, I don't ever help anybody because I want people to know that I help somebody. It's always the right time to do the right thing. And I feel like that's what I've always done. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I truly do. You know, there's not many guys like you left. You know, you've been there my entire career. I mean, you're the one who called me and was like, Johnny's going to call you. He's going to give you a job. I tried to get you more money, but he said no. You know, I mean, that was you in 2005. So, it's just cool to hear that. Sorry, I get emotional.
It's all good. That's what this is about.
You know what? And I didn't know if it was you or Tommy talking in that moment. It was you. You sounded so much like Tommy. I remember when I got divorced, I made a promise to myself that my happiness at some point in my life has to come first. And I remember interviewing you 8 years ago, and you looked unhappy. I think the only time a smile came to your face is when I mentioned a Jello Biafra spoken word album. And that was like there you go. But like, did you have that conversation with yourself? Like, at some point, my happiness has to come first, and you have to prioritize things.
Yeah, 100%. You know, there's what people like to call WWE drones out there that aren't going to like anything I have to say about that company. So I try to limit what I do say, but everything I do say is the truth. I was going to die. You know what I mean? Because in my head, I'm always like, well, what would Harley Race do? He would keep going. There's only so many times you can get hurt and keep going. And, you know, I was never given time off after an elbow surgery, a knee surgery, narrowly avoided a hip surgery. It was always, no, we need you. And it's nice to be needed, but they will run you dry, you know? And I was on that path, and I watched too many friends get swallowed up by this business and by, you know, drugs and everything else that they maybe thought that they had to do to keep going. And I was a cycle breaker. I took myself out of it. I've never really been proud of myself about a lot of things, but, you know, it's just a real life thing that I was proud of myself about, because I took a step back and I was like, they're not listening to me. I'm sick. I'm hurt. They're not going to take care of me. You know, I had to take care of myself. You know what I mean? And it caused a lot of drama, you know, a lot of silly baggage, but I'm alive. You know what I mean? I woke up this morning, and it sounds dramatic, but it's not bullshit. Like, I would have kept going until I literally could not go anymore. And then what? Then I'm and then I get posthumously inducted into a Fugazi Hall of Fame. Like, no, I don't want that. Like, I want to be able to kiss my wife and walk my dog and, you know, enjoy things. And like I said, I know that there's people out there that are going to be like, oh, this is bullshit, or it's dramatic. It's not. And I implore anybody out there that if you're unhappy with anything, you know, like you have to do what's best for you, you know. That was the 100% bottom line. I wish there was a support system, but I was mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally just in pain, you know. And if I didn't get out of there, I wouldn't be here right now.
I got nothing else to say. I'm just happy you're back. I'm happy AEW has given so many opportunities to so many, and you have changed the business like you will never understand. And as long as this train keeps on going, you're opening doors for so many, because it was the moment you walked out was a switch from Sports Center putting you over, the United Center, this the world is talking about it, and like casual wrestling fans are back watching wrestling. And it was this one guy's vision, and then he got the guy who was divorced from the business and brought him back, and it was just like this happy moment. And I just like to celebrate happiness. So I'm out. I'm good. Thanks. I'll text you later.
Thanks, buddy.
Well, I know you have other media commitments. It was a pleasure talking to you for a few here. Of course, you can watch AEW Dynamite every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on TNT, and Rampage, 10 p.m. Eastern Time on TNT. CM Punk, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.